Hey, howdy, and welcome all to the Big and Bright Podcast. My name is Nick. This here next to me is James.
Howdy.
The Texas Legislature is up and running at this point.
Yes,
and,
it is.
There's a lot to talk about. We're going to get to that later on in the episode, but not before you like and subscribe.
Oh, I like how you did that there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. See,
Like.
we're getting better at it.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, ring bells,
Share.
push buttons.
We're
on Spotify. You can rate on Spotify.
We're on
Rate us
Spotify. We're on YouTube. We now have a Facebook.
Yes.
Facebook group. We're on Twitter. I think we're still on Instagram. Like I said last episode, I don't really know how to operate that.
Sure.
So we're on
Come
it.
find
though.
us, man.
Yeah.
We're here to hang out.
Yeah.
Just make it happen.
Comment, hate comment, make fun of, mostly of Nick. We all know it is.
Listen.
It's okay.
Listen. You do what you can, right?
Yeah.
No, but absolutely come do that. I'm actually rather proud of myself. We got what, 20 seconds? 20 seconds into the episode?
Yeah.
That's got to be
Pretty
some kind
good.
of a record. Nonetheless, friends, a lot of things happening in the state of Texas. A lot of things to discuss moving forward. First and foremost, this is one of the bigger, flashier stories. A gentleman was shot at the border.
Yes, he was.
Was shot at the border. And that's kind of it. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes on with that.
It was Texas National Guard who's been patrolling the border because
Texas State Guard.
it's Texas National Guard, but yes,
Is it Texas National Guard?
it's the National Guard.
See, okay, pause. We'll get to this story about the migrant in a second. I'm gonna rail on something. Why is it the Texas National Guard if it's the National Guard? Isn't it national meaning the United States? Because Texas has a state.
Sorry, do you not know what state you're from?
Texas has a state guard.
And we have a National Guard. You know
Yes.
why? Because we're a nation.
So you're a nation.
We're a nation.
So is the Texas National Guard is different from the National Guard?
Yeah, U.S. National Guard. Yeah, usually it's the Coast Guard.
Oh. Well, you know what?
Education.
Learn something new every day. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, the Texas National Guard, which it should just all be the Texas State Guard, but nonetheless, I digress. Okay,
Whatever.
National Guard shoots a guy on the border.
Well, no. Okay, they were trying to apprehend.
I'm sorry, is that not what happened?
It technically wasn't on the border.
Okay.
Technically, it was not on the border. So a guy, or four guys, they hopped the border.
You sound like you're really struggling with a joke right now.
No.
You sound like you're
I'm
trying
just
to
trying to make
remember-
sure you don't
You're trying to remember
try
the
to
joke.
keep saying the wrong things. You've already said migrant once, which is incorrect. 4 illegal immigrants hopped over the border like they shouldn't be. So National Guard cornered them into a house. One of them jumped out the window, resisted arrest. Shockingly.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And then a fight broke out. Again, shockingly.
Mhm.
Who could have saw that coming?
Yeah.
So the guy shot him. And he went to the hospital on our tax time.
Mhm.
And he's okay.
Um,
That's it.
the propaganda machine coming out on this is pretty intense, man. For example,
Like camping?
yeah, like camping. See, that was a joke you didn't forget.
Yeah.
Now, for example, Texas Tribune, a National Guard soldier patrolling the Texas-Mexico border shot a migrant Sunday morning in West McAllen, right? And again, even that phrasing I don't like, because you're right. It wasn't on the border. And it makes it sound like this dude is just kind of like walking back and forth along the fence, whistling, and sees someone and goes, "Hey!" and just pops him. That's not what happened. This
Not saying I'm against that. Not saying deliberately I'm for it, though.
is okay.
Ride that line.
Yeah, here's the reality. This doesn't just apply to Texas National Guard, Texas State Guard, Texas Border Patrol. This applies to all law enforcement. If you struggle against law enforcement, there's a chance you're gonna get shot.
Yeah.
There just is.
There's
Especially
a
if you're
phrase
struggling.
I'll simmer down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's, screw around and find out.
Yes.
Yes.
And this
You may
man-
know the other phrase. I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that.
This man screwed around quite a bit, and he
found out.
He found quite a
That
bit
he
out.
can get free health care after getting shot on a place he shouldn't be in
So-
and then still welcome in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Found out.
Hold on, though. Pause. What's the alternative? Send this dude.
Stay in your country.
Okay, no, I understand the alternative for him was he should have stayed in his country, but okay, you've gotten into an altercation. Someone has been shot, right?
Why were they there?
Okay, we're not talking about the morality of the actual event. What I'm saying is someone has been shot. They are now severely injured and possibly bleeding out. and you say, oh, well, you took him to the hospital on our tax time. Yes, fair, and that's not good. But what are you supposed to do? What would you have this officer do at that point?
Where's that line in Mexico? Bring him right back.
Just dump him
That's
over.
That's your problem,
and
Mexico.
And like watch him bleed out on the other side.
No,
of the
you
fence.
turn around though. We don't see it.
Oh my gosh! And tell the coyotes to come pick him up and take him back to the hospital.
Like they don't have their numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, SA, come get them.
I don't think that's at all how that works. I don't think that's even a little bit how that works. Yeah, come get me. Is there a border patrol agent? Yeah, he's sitting on the other side of the fence. Yeah. So you come here.
But he turned away, so he can't see it.
Mm-hmm. No.
Problem solved.
Here's the deal. At that situation,
more you know.
The more you know. This is getting rough, man. This is getting really. You're getting hard to defend, buddy. But I will say this. Obviously, they shouldn't have been there.
No.
Obviously, they broke the law. And obviously, they struggled against the police. Here's the thing. Like, to me, this kind of thing, and this is what's crazy. Again, I don't know what you do, because the other option is to put them in prison, which puts them again on our tax dollars.
Yeah.
But this is if you're an illegal immigrant, right, and you're in Texas, this is probably the one time where you really don't want to struggle, right?
Yeah,
because
we all know it's busted wide open.
Yeah, what happens?
Hey.
Yeah, what happens? They catch you. They drive you back to Mexico. They say, okay, now don't do it again. And you say, oh, yes, I promise, senor.
Yeah. And I trust you.
And then you do it again. Yeah.
And you use this cell phone I'm going to give you to not call people you know in America to help you back across,
exactly.
Okay?
So
all right.
That's the one time where it's like, man, just cut your losses. You've been caught. It'll take you probably a couple more days to get back across, but you'll get back across.
Yeah.
We all know that, right? Or at least just go over to the California crossing. Go to Baja. It's a lot easier over there, I promise. Yeah. So
there was more expensive.
Back in the day, man, there was a road sign. There was a road. This was way back. This was like back I think George Bush was still president. But they had a road sign in California that had
it had like the people crossing with the holding hands.
And it had these people holding hands, like running.
Look out for essays.
And I'm going, man, optics is everything, and that was bad. That was really bad.
Duck crossing, people crossing, duck crossing.
Yeah. Of course, everything in this article is talking about how Operation Lone Star.
Yeah, we can't trust it anymore. Yeah. It says no transparency. Even the same article's like, there's been 4 shooting incidents, and 2 of them were basically like same kind of situation. Yeah, 4. Exactly. So 2021, 4. That's pretty tame.
Yeah.
Pretty tame.
I don't know, and it's interesting because Operation Lone Star, they don't exactly have body cameras, right? So we don't know the situation that's going on here. But
fair.
It's unlikely in today's climate, with everything that's out there, that this guy callously and with malice of forethought murdered somebody. Like, I don't. Well,
he didn't murder anybody,
or attempted to murder.
Yeah,
somebody.
No, he was getting beat up, so he shot him.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
happens.
That's what I think. That's what, and that's likely if we had body cam footage.
That's why it was in the shoulder. If you wanted to really nail him, dude's probably had more training than you and I combined. He could do the triangle and go chest, head. Dude's done. Yeah. No, one in the shoulder. All right, he's incapacitated. Cuff him. Put him in the hospital. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so that's always fun, right?
Yeah.
And Joe Biden, again, this is your fault.
Kind of.
I'm always going to say that whenever there's something that's going on at the border like that, Biden, this is your fault. They wouldn't be here, and they've said they wouldn't be here if your policies weren't encouraging them to come across. Yeah. And again, I've said this before. Mayorkas at one point, Alexander Mayorkas, the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has come out and said it's not a good time right now. And I'm going,
tomorrow.
No, that's not the right answer,
yeah.
Mayorkas. It's not, don't do it, ever. That's the answer.
Yeah, but he can't say that.
It's not a good time right now. It's not open yet. It's like you're in a theme park and you're gonna open in an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, just wait.
Hey, form a line.
Yeah, or whatever. Anyway,
yeah.
We've got bigger fish to fry here in Texas, especially with the legislator coming out. A couple of big ticket items.
Speaking of fish, though.
What? What about fish? Oh, yeah.
Didn't they find
Speaking of illegal immigrants.
Another illegal immigrant in Galveston?
They found a big old...
There's this eel.
They found a big old fish. It was
weird.
It was a freshwater eel. Okay, so here's what's crazy about this. And if you guys ever look at this story, we'll have the link in the description. This thing's giant.
Yeah.
It's like a 4-foot eel.
It's gross looking.
Now, and it's just one of those terrifying things. Now, this is
Ugly as sin.
weird lesson in marine biology. Most people, when they think of eels, they think of two kinds of eels. One's electric eels, which we think from science fiction will just zap you and you'll die. That's actually not true.
I beg to differ.
They have a relatively low voltage.
Sure, that's what they want you to think.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, or you think of the moray eel, which is the big monster thing that comes out and it's got those big old teeth, very carnivorous.
That's creepy.
Most eels are actually not gonna hurt you, right? Most eels aren't. A lot of them aren't carnivorous, and not a lot of them have electrical pulses. So this
look
concept,
creepy though.
Eel, yeah, they do. They do look really creepy. And so, but you think of this gigantic eel, and this thing that was found is actually a freshwater eel. It was found off the coast of Galveston because that's where you go to spawn. It's kind of like salmon, right? It's actually like reverse. Salmon will live in the ocean, but they go upstream to spawn.
Oh yeah.
This is reverse. It lives in rivers and lakes, and it goes into the ocean to spawn. And so.
Gotta find more fish in the sea.
They found it on the coast, but that means this thing was living in a lake somewhere inland, right?
And so careful where you go swimming.
That thing makes it even more creepy because it's this big.
Imagine getting that in your reel, going, "Oh, nope, cut the line. You can have it. Nope, I'm out."
And they said, "Oh, this thing is endangered because of poaching." The article says this is endangered because of poaching. I can see why if I saw that thing, I'd shoot it too.
Yeah.
What
the heck was that?
Most people think it's a snake, and I mean, if it's a snake, it's bigger than any snake I've seen in the United States.
I'm still shooting it.
This is like a Burmese python looking kind of thing, and oh man.
So another illegal immigrant that should have been on our shores.
Should have been on our shores.
Yeah.
And he's never going back.
No.
He's very dead. This was found and washed up on the beach. This wasn't something that was found.
Yeah, he did.
He's very dead. And as far as we can tell, not by any human hands.
Not by the National Guard.
Yeah, nobody shot him. But the Texas Legislature is also in session after that weird digression. A couple of things that are on the ticket. One is teachers in the state of Texas just aren't paid enough, James.
Yes.
Now,
another one is roll the dice. Maybe you'll get more money.
That's true.
So you got to take your pick.
You might get more money.
We may talk about both.
Okay.
We probably will.
All right, which one are you talking about? Which one are we talking about?
Let's go with the casinos. That seems like really fun. Let's roll the dice on the casinos.
Talk about those casinos.
Make money.
James,
make money.
Right now, they are discussing potential legislation to roll out to loosen the gambling laws in the state of Texas.
Yes.
Everything I've read about this doesn't seem like it's going to be, all right, gambling's fine, just open up casinos in Dallas. I don't think that's what's going to be happening.
No, actually, feeling the House Speaker, he's against, he's against, the I guess, the convenience store or the small little shop on the side of the road that are constant casinos. He's like, no, make them destination. He's open to the idea. He's also only one vote.
Sure.
So that's that.
But that's also very much against casinos at all in Texas.
Who's that?
Patrick.
Dan Patrick. He's been parsed with words. He's more like we haven't had a definitive no, but he's certainly very much against the yes. So it's all right, that's a no. He's like, he never said no.
Okay,
but he said no. Who holds the power of the Senate? Dan Patrick.
Yeah, you ain't getting his vote. But they got an old governor coming back to lobby for
Mr. Perry.
Mr. Rick Perry.
Longest serving governor. You know who's the second longest?
Who?
Greg Abbott.
Greg Abbott?
Yeah. Name one thing Perry did good.
Served in the Bush administration.
Trump administration.
Was it the Trump administration?
Yeah.
He served in the Trump administration?
Yeah.
Wasn't he the green energy guy?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's what pissed people off the most. It's like, so you're a guy from Texas.
Yeah.
Is green energy. He's like, that's exactly who I want in there.
That's who I want in there too. The best thing is
we're just gonna dial it down.
The best thing is, so Rick Perry would have my undying respect, and he would be the greatest politician in history ever if he did this. If he comes out as the green energy czar, and day one he's like, I'm firing everyone in my department and resigning.
Yeah. No. You stay in there. Is like, and I'll manage it. And basically, you show up to work going, "Where's there's my 30 rack. All right, I'm just gonna have some beers. It's a good day."
He's sitting there playing Fortnite or something.
Play video games, drink some beer, having a cigar. It's like, that's the whole job. You're done.
There we go.
Anyways, sorry, back to the story.
Sounds like most politicians.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway, the issue here is that, obviously there's cases for revenue, there's There's a lot of benefits that people perceive coming from other states. But I'm interested.
Yeah, billions of offshore. Like Perry even said, like there's $8 billion and would go into bookies. I remember his Dallas Morning News article, which I couldn't exactly find. My boss was talking about it. It was like $40 to $50 billion. $1 billion is gone.
Sure.
And it's like, well, I mean, how are we counting that? If it's off the books, how do you even know it's $8 billion? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of lost revenue. So I was getting that, like, let's just say it's a lot.
You can gamble in Texas. It's just you have to go to reservations
And scratch offs.
Yeah, but so it's not just casinos; it's also sports gambling.
Yeah.
There's lobbyists for that too. Obviously, it's kind of the same sort of thing, right? So they're both lobbying for this legislation, but really that's it. I mean, as far as the facts are concerned, that's really what's on the table.
Yeah, 260 plus lobbyists.
Yeah,
50 odd or some are going down to Austin next week.
Yeah,
that's a lot of lobbyists.
It's a lot of lobbyists.
Paid over $2 million in donations with certain Texas lawmakers, most of it in Tarrant County, because they want the Fort Worth stockyards. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
So they're like, well, it won't affect my vote. Really?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Here's the thing. I like the stockyards.
It's nice.
It's
great steakhouses.
Nice. And I'll come to my opinion in a second. I want to hear what your thoughts are
on the casinos.
On the casinos, right?
There's two modes, because we kind of talked about this before the episode, that are kind of going parallel. There's sports betting, and there's just like the ragtag normal casinos, like maybe what you see in Shreveport, because it's much better than Choctaw, because you don't have to go to Oklahoma. Yeah. But are you talking about sports betting or the casinos?
And also, just a little bit of an aside, another reason you should go to Shreveport, so a lot of people don't know this, different states have different gaming commissions, right? So there's an Oklahoma gaming commission, there's a Louisiana gaming commission.
Yes.
There's also a national gaming commission that sort of oversees all of them. But
they're terrible, yeah.
The point here is this. The reason you don't go to Oklahoma is because the Oklahoma Gaming Commission are the cheapest people on the planet. They have a thing in Oklahoma called the Okie Annie.
Yes.
You have to play
extra dollar or something?
You have to pay $1
Yeah.
for every hand at every table. If you're at blackjack, you have to just give $1 to play a hand of blackjack. By the way, in blackjack,
the white men took their land. They get an extra $1.
You have significantly poor odds. A perfect blackjack player.
They're really good at, like, what's the insurance on when we have to have so much payout? Oh, that's it. We'll just pay that and not pay out.
A perfect blackjack player. A blackjack player who makes literally no mistakes ever and isn't card counting. Has 50% odds.
Yeah.
Right? It's
not good.
You've got a coin flip. If you don't make any mistakes at all. Most average Joe Schmoes. So it's not like you're not making money. It's not like there's but they have to pay. And
you're making like $15 for the night instead of making maybe 50. You're not scraping it all in. You're just like, I just want to double, but you can't do that.
Putting a bet on the craps table. Some of the worst odds in the entire casino.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to put down a $5 yo bet, or I want to put down a $5 boxcar bet. I have to pay $1 to lose that $5 bet, right?
You try to teach me craps, I have no idea.
Anyway, what's your take?
What's my take? Okay, again, you got to parse out.
Hold on. Let's take it all as a scope.
Okay, so both.
Should we expand the gambling laws in Texas at all? And then if you want to say, well, maybe for this, but not for that, just break it down.
I'm actually with feeling if we're going to do it, it has to be destination style, and we don't need to add a lot. We can't have them popped up everywhere. That's my take on it. I'm not a huge fan of having it in my state, but then again, if we're losing the revenue, we might as well make the revenue here. However, a lot of things can be said about that. It's like, well, they're going to do it over there. Well, then fine, do it over there. Just, I mean, kind of like we talked about with abortions.
Yep.
So it's one of those weird things. I would say if I had to take like a percentage-wise, I would be 65, 35 for having them. I'm not entirely sold on it, but I get it, and I'm not entirely against it.
Yeah. I am entirely against it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I love casinos.
Yeah.
Right? I love to gamble. I go to casinos fairly often.
I know the 1-800 number about gambling too much.
But see, that's the problem.
That's the issue. There's religious organizations against it. They're saying like this is literally like giving a bottle of liquor to an alcoholic. Yeah. No, the travel actually helps keep a low gambling addiction in Texas.
Yes.
I have no idea how you keep those stats. I'm just going to take your word for it because there's orgs that have existed since like the 90s. We've never had gambling, really. but they've been here since the 90s going, we're helping people.
I mean, I know I'm sure it mitigates it, right? But here's the deal. I understand that while I enjoy gambling, right? I love playing craps. I've told you, I've tried to teach you how to play craps.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
The thing
I'm not
is that
smart enough.
when I go to casinos to play craps, I have a line item in my budget that I say, hey, I'm going to save up until I have $500, $1,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take that, and I do this maybe twice a year, and I go to hopefully Louisiana, but if I have to, Oklahoma, right?
Center.
And I go play craps, and I go shoot craps. And you know what? That's my money, and I'm there to lose it.
Yeah, that's really how I do. I've never really I lived an hour away from Shreveport whenever I was growing up, and when I was finally old enough, we'd go. Even when I'd go with my buddies, some they would do the typical ones like I'm just gonna keep playing, and I'd go. I have this much. If it's gone, great. If I double it, great.
Sure.
And typically, if I doubled it, I'd pocket the double, put it in my pocket. It's like, all right, I'm just playing with this 50 again. If it craps out, I already have my money back. I broke even. I'm fine. And
then you play with house money, and
you
just keep doubling.
Right.
I will tell you, man, my
but you're right. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
Most people they can't do that. Even for me, because I don't know if you know this, Shreveport and Oklahoma, or in Shreveport, they give you free drinks. Oklahoma, you got to pay for them. Doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense to me either.
It was like, okay, so I'm getting drinks. They're hoping I get like, oh, he's getting a little too inebriated. He can't focus. No. I still have my wits about me. I know how much I'm doing. You're also watering down the drink. I know you are. I don't care. They're free. So I'd always have that system. No matter how many I would have, it'd be like, okay, if it's this much, okay, pocket it. And if I never get to pocket it, all right, I'm out. I'm done. Like that's okay. That's why I brought the money and never go to the ATM. Never ever go to the ATM.
Don't bring your credit card.
Yeah.
Bring cash.
Yeah. One reason. ATM fee is horrendous.
Ridiculous.
2, you will lose track on how much money you get out of the ATM because you've already said once, like, might as well again. You're screwed. You're done.
Nowadays, I actually bring my wife whenever I go gambling. One, because she actually likes, my wife actually likes being at casinos.
Yeah.
She doesn't really gamble all that much, but she likes to be there and she's excited with all of it.
She'll tag along, yeah.
And 2, I give, like you said, instead of pocketing it, I give it to my wife.
Yeah, and she'll beat you up.
So now, instead of pulling it out of my pocket, I now have to go ask my wife and tell her, hey, I've lost money. Can I have more? You want a mitigating factor? That's a mitigating factor.
Yeah.
Anyway,
her stare is scary enough, and I've seen her punch you. It doesn't go well.
It's not fun. Yeah. Anyway, I don't. Ideally, I'm saying I don't think it's a good idea because even though it's something I like, I'm fully aware that there are things I like that need to be regulated.
Yeah,
because it's not good for other people, right?
Well, the cool thing is about this one, because it's cool about our Constitution, is that this would have to not only pass the House by 2/3, has to pass the Senate by 2/3, and then it has to be voted on by our state to act, because it'd be amending a law and actually a piece of our Constitution. So it has to go through 3 separate layers to actually be intact.
Sure. So
even if you're totally against it and you're saying, James, I can't believe you even be somewhat for it, that's fine. But you get a chance to vote on it. It's not just people that you voted on, that one person or 2 people because you have a senator and a representative. It has to pass a huge chunk of like, what would you call that, hurdles?
Sure.
And so that is the good thing about our Constitution. So it gives you a say.
Yeah. So I went gambling on my bachelor party, right? My friends and I went up to Colorado and I gambled there. But my thing was, I said, if you go with me to go gamble, we did other things too, like rafting, stuff like that. But my thing was, if you're going with me to gamble, you have to be in a suit. And we went to a casino that didn't like, it wasn't that they didn't permit it, they didn't require suits. But I'm like, no. If I'm gambling, I'm going in a suit, right? Because it's fun, and gambling should be an event, right?
You get to play rich guy.
The fact is, if somebody walks in like a Saw Doctor's T-shirt, and it's like, I'm gonna play the slots, like, you need to get out of here.
I'm walking away from that guy.
So for a solution, I think
that being said, the most money I've ever made has been on slots. Oh, yeah. I literally put one, and I got a multiplier. I'm going, oh, what is happening right now?
Yeah, slots can. So the funny thing about slots is that everyone that I've ever had that has a crazy slot story, they've always only done it once, and it's like the only time they did it.
Once. I've been back and played it. Never again has that happened.
Here's the solution I would
lost all of it.
I think this would actually help with Phelan's thing too. About I don't want this to be like every sort of nickel and dime store has a slot machine. I think this would help that solution quite a bit. Put together a statewide minimum.
What do you mean minimum?
What I mean is when you sit down at a table, right? There's blackjack, $5 minimum,
Yeah.
right? There's, craps, $20 minimum, right?
Uh-huh.
And it just shows you like kind of the level of betting that's going on.
Yeah, the money you have to at least put
Yes.
in the game. Yeah.
Pass legislation saying if you have a casino in the state of Texas, you cannot have a minimum under $15, $20.
Maybe, but I think Phelan's idea of like making a destination place only, so like
Yeah,
4 or 5 across the entire state of Texas.
There's other ways you can do it. You have to get a license.
But that would come out in the debate because again, this isn't like a bill that's existing. It's like only that bill and that's it. Every bill, if you ever know, it goes in, it gets presented, and then it gets debated over and amended the crap out of it.
Here's why.
So there's a good reason.
I know that if I'm going to be putting down $20 bets, right? Minimum $20 bets at a craps table, or even minimum $10 bets at a craps table, I'm going to be more prepared. I'm going to bring more money, and I'm going to act like I'm spending more money, right? So one, you're getting more revenues for the state. Two, you're getting more respectable people because you're not getting people that are just walking in with $5 and want to play a hand of blackjack.
Yeah.
And three, I think it really helps with the addiction. And this is an old buddy of mine who really struggled with addiction and all that kind of stuff. And he says, Nick, how have you? He says, what's your strategy for not becoming an alcoholic? And my answer was, I only drink really expensive stuff, so I can't afford to be an alcoholic. Yeah. Right? If your only option is a $20 minimum table, a lot of people just can't afford to have a gambling addiction. Yeah. Right? So that would be my solution. But in a perfect world, I'm keeping it the way it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else that's also
about
legal.
Money.
Yeah, about money, and it's money for teachers.
Teachers
in the great state of Texas.
Yes. State Rep James Tallarico D. Austin proposed a bill to raise teachers' pay by $15,000.
Yes.
It's called House Bill 1548.
Yes. Is that it?
No, it includes full-time librarians, full-time counselors, full-time school nurses.
Sure.
The bill, I actually read it, and it's kind of weird because I have the article that I'll share with you, and it has like an interview of here's how I'm kind of thinking about moving the money. But then I read the bill, and it's like, it's kind of murky how I'm moving the money.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. In public, he's stated like, well, it's a good idea of how to use the $33 billion surplus.
Yes.
And in the bill, it kind of sounds like a subsidy. So the state is kind of like funding this on the side, but that doesn't exactly seem where it's coming from. Or it also kind of sounds more like a bonus. So, for instance, you have a base pay, and around Christmas, as we all know, typically people get bonuses. Mm-hmm. So it'd be like, all right, and here's all your chips at once. It's kind of weird. The article I'll share it. One of them actually mentions cafeteria workers. That's not in the bill. That's a little misinformation. I don't know why they put it in there. I guess to make you feel bad if you don't like it.
I've looked through this bill, and I'm looking for the gotcha, because when I see a D next to a lawmaker's name. And here's the thing: if you want to, so the proposed raise is $15,000 annually
per teacher,
right? Which is, I mean, that's great. I'm for that, and I know it's expensive, but we have a surplus in the budget, right? So I'm kind of for that. But other than the fact that we're going to be spending a lot of money, I'm looking for like the hook where it's like, oh, and by the way, we're going to be completely green by 2026. Yeah. Like I'm looking for the pork.
It actually is a very short bill. I was surprised.
It's pretty.
But I did the math, Nick. The gotcha is just on the teachers, not including the rest of them. There's an article. I'm going to give it to you. Quotes about 370,000 teachers in Texas, according to 2021 standards.
Sure.
Just them, not including the administrators that I just mentioned, the nurses, everything else. That's $5.5 billion a year.
Yep.
Per year.
Yep.
Do you know why the $33 billion is such a big deal?
Why?
It doesn't happen that often.
Yep.
So where's this money coming from? I mean, if you could say we should cut the bill or cut other spending somewhere else. Okay. Well, Operation Lone Star, $4 billion over 2 years. This is 1 year, not including the rest. Just teachers. $5.5 billion. So that's my biggest quandary is where is it coming from?
Yeah.
Because I'm a little biased. My wife works in teaching.
Yeah.
So wouldn't mind it. However, it kind of is weird where it's coming from, especially when you're not being thorough where it's coming from. Because Tallarico has stated that this is a true way to solve the property tax relief that Texas is desperately needing. That's more of a band-aid and not actually going with the underlying problem, which is the property tax. Don't just give me more money. How about you get the reason why you're getting so much more money out of the house that I own?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
The case that Tellerico is making is that if you pay the teachers, most teachers' salaries come from property taxes, and so if the state is just giving a subsidy to educators, right, then your property taxes are at the very least going to increase at a slower rate. So I understand kind of where he's coming from for that.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. The other reason why I'm in favor of paying teachers more money is because it gets them out of the teachers union. Texas is a right to work state.
We don't really have a union.
But here's the situation, right? Is that you have the option. It's not that we have an official union, but you do have the option to unionize in other states and things like that, and mitigate that way. But if our teachers are paid well, then they don't really have any reason to. They don't really have any reason to go around that, right? I think
very few teachers are actually in our Texas Teachers Union. There's literally like a handful.
I know. But
most of them around Austin.
But here's the thing. The other thing about it is that if you have more money, if you're going to give our teachers more money, another thing that you should tack on that is we really need to increase and vet the vetting process for our teachers, right? Because if I'm going to be paying you an extra $15,000 a year, I want you to be doing a better job than, frankly, public schools are doing right now.
I don't know. Texas schools aren't too bad, but I'm with you on the pay part because I looked it up, a few facts, and Texas is ranked 21st in how is it worded? It's how far teachers' salaries go on buying a house. So we're like not the worst, not the best, but kind of the middle. However, when it comes to adjusting for cost of living, well, Texas is actually pretty cheap.
By the way, in 2019, we were actually much higher on that list.
Yeah,
because property values in Texas were way lower than they are now.
Well, times are changing.
That's true.
Well, Texas is cheap as well of giving the money. We're around 41st because somehow it's I would say around 40th. Yeah. Doesn't make it much better because I'm not going to count D.C. as a state. It's still not much better.
Sure.
We're literally 10 above the top. So I'm with them on we need to give them more money. But $15K, I'm not quite sure. Because again, like I said, I'm kind of biased. I get the reason. I'm for paying it. I don't know about that much. So I'm kind of in a pickle. Yeah. And of course, it's a best-made pickle because that's made in Texas. But I'm still in a pickle.
Amen.
And I'm kind of like, I'm with you. Maybe it shouldn't be $15K. But I don't know. Because Tellerico's even said he's willing to negotiate, which to me is finally a reasonable Democrat.
Yeah. The crazy thing about this is, and this is why I think teachers unions are the worst, right? Because this
You're talking about something that doesn't exist really in Texas.
I know. But I'm just saying, I feel for you if you have a state that has that. But
Come on to Texas.
The point here is that this is what a contract negotiation is like. If you have an employee, right? This is they say we want a raise, and we go, we the employers go, well, what about this? And they say, well, hey, I feel like I've really done X, Y, and Z, or something like that, or they're you're trying to negotiate terms. And
he may be going like I'm actually looking for 7, but I'm gonna say 15 and get whittled down.
But this puts us like this demonstrates that the people of Texas are the ones that are actually doing this negotiation, right?
Yeah.
And so it's worth noting. It's fun. It's great to say yes, we want to pay our teachers, but you always have to factor in you're the one paying them.
Yes.
Right. It's not the money doesn't fall out of the sky. It's coming from you.
Thank you.
So
that is the one thing that irritates me is like Abbott should be doing. Abbott should be. It's like, bro, do you give any charity? Do you give to any of these organizations? Mm-hmm. Well, no. That's what your tax dollars should be doing.
Sure.
If people did that more, maybe it wouldn't be as bad. However, also when you're griping at the state, you're kind of griping at yourself because you're the one who's going to be writing that check.
Yeah. Here's the thing,
but whatever.
If you tell me, I'm willing to entertain this bill, and there's one reason why. If you're telling me that there's not $5.5 billion worth of
useless spending,
worth of fat to trim in an annual Texas budget, you're out of your mind. I think you can easily come up with it, but we got to figure out where it's coming.
That's what I'm saying with the Texas Lone Star, though. It's like, well, it's only $4.4 billion. It's like that's over 2 years. This is one time, and I'm just counting just the teachers.
Sure.
So that's the issue I have of like, well, where's the money coming from? If the bill was more transparent of where it wants to take the money from, I'd be with it. But since you've been publicly saying surplus, but not in your bill saying surplus, and again, the surplus isn't something that happens all the time, that's the biggest issue, because I'm for giving the raises. Maybe not that much. My wife's going to hit me after I said that statement. Oh, well. But it's what we just said. It's who's paying for that.
Yeah.
And how can that stand? I mean, California has all these neat ideas. There's a reason why they're actually in what was it? It's called the red, right? The negative?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they said all these fancy things. And guess what? The piper came a-calling. They had no way to pay him.
Yeah. That's what they say. Is it's always, whenever you say, do you think that the government should cut taxes or cut government programs? They say yes, but then when you start saying specifically, hey, what about Social Security? They're like, oh, hold on.
Yeah, you literally go down the list.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, not that. Well, not that. All right, I'm down to get rid of dog catchers. Yeah, we can get rid of that.
The point here is that Texas might go the way of having gambling and spending too much money, much like Nevada.
Yeah.
You know what Texas also has that Nevada also has?
Prostitutes.
Yeah.
Yep. Frisco, Texas did a sting. It was quite big.
Yeah.
Cops went online and asked for prostitutes. People obliged.
Sure.
And they caught, what was the number? 26? I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, 26 different people. Oh, I'm sorry, 23. Some being teachers, some being clergy, some being coaches.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just in Frisco, Texas. It's not that big. That's huge, especially since it involves teachers who all of a sudden don't have a job. I mean, they have the list of the people with their faces, as they should, because you shouldn't be one doing that. And I'm not sure, because it doesn't say in the article that we're going to give you if it was pretending to be underage or not. But if it was, there's a bigger issue.
Well, that's a very big issue.
There's different kind of jail time for you. And I don't really necessarily think jail time is right.
Honestly,
maybe
I don't care.
Gallows or
firing squads, right?
Maybe.
I don't care if these people are if these ladies are underage or not. Obviously, if they were underage, I would care about that.
Yeah, I don't know how they're presenting themselves.
I'm not saying that it is less significant that this happened because these women were or were not underage. You shouldn't be paying for sex.
No,
you shouldn't. And there are things that you
treat yourself better.
There's things that you simply ought not do, and we should make sure that we are preventing you from doing those things.
What are the three main things a person should be doing?
What?
Don't get in a land war with.
Don't get in a land war with Asia.
Yeah.
Don't go up against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Don't order prostitutes.
And don't order prostitutes.
There you go.
Right?
There's your three things.
Especially in Frisco.
Yes.
Right. Here's the reason why is because there's this. And this is where I get the whole libertarians are never going to happen thing, right?
Yes, they won't.
This is what drives me crazy about the libertarians. It's like, well, what's wrong with sex work? I'm like, it's wrong. It's wrong. You shouldn't do that,
wrong.
right?
So much drug use, so much beating.
Yes, and you also shouldn't take something that is so intimate and valuable and sacred to the human experience and turn it into a financial transaction.
It's gross.
You shouldn't do that. It is demeaning to your soul. It is demeaning to your worth as a person. It is demeaning to the worth of the person that you are exchanging this for.
Yeah, and you're pretending that person's saying like, I chose it. Really?
Yeah.
No, there's a reason he or she is doing that, and it's a far darker reason that you don't want to know. And you don't care because you're just like, oh, I gave $100 and I walked away. I don't know how much it is. But I gave $100 and I walked away. No, it's a horrible situation.
I know what hotel they went to is more than $100.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Prostitutes that operated this hotel.
They fancy?
They fancy.
Oh.
Right? The point here is it doesn't matter what the amount is. If you're exchanging sex for money, that is devaluing to you as a person, and it is devaluing to the customer. It's devaluing to both parties involved.
Yeah.
Right? One person is willing to pay for sex, which, by the way, is pathetic. And the other person is going to receive money for sex, which is saying my value ultimately comes to a dollar amount in my bank account. That is wrong, and it shouldn't be allowed. There are just things that we shouldn't do. Yeah. And you can't necessarily come, well, who is it harming? The fact is, harm is not always seen outwardly, and harm is not always on an individual level. There is such a thing as societal harm.
Be surprised at suicide rates when it comes to prostitution.
Yes.
Be very surprised. And I'm glad they're actually putting their faces with their arrests. Like, no, you should be on full blast.
I looked at every single one of them. I was like, you're terrible, you're terrible, you're terrible, you're terrible.
It's terrible.
Death penalty, death penalty,
terrible.
death penalty, death penalty.
Fair.
You
Definitely.
I really, I don't know. I was like, it's just because I hate having these discussions. The fact that these are debates anymore is nauseating to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because we say, well, what's so wrong about it? I don't know, man.
Well, the thing is, you don't answer that question.
Yeah.
You tell me what's right.
What's right? What's valuable about it? Right?
Because they're the ones with the premise. They're saying like, oh, we shouldn't get rid of it. No. You have the premise. You tell me what's right. What value does this give? You can't. They'll make up a lot of mealy mouth things. They'll then turn it on you.
Yeah.
You tell me, no. You haven't finished your thought.
Yeah.
You tell me what's right.
Answer my question first. Here's the thing, guys, is that Texas cannot yield on this kind of stuff. We just can't, because the fact is I believe this. I believe that Texas is possibly one of the last, not the last, but one of the last strongholds of actual values-driven governance in the United States.
And good on Frisco.
Exactly. And if we fall, the country will fall. And friends, we do not want that to happen, because the night is very dark, but the stars at night
are big and bright.
We'll see you next week.